Welcome to Letters from New Zealand. I am John Jarvis. New Zealand used to be a beer drinking country. Bars were open from 9 a.m. until 6 p.m, serving just under 4% alcohol draft beer from only 2 companies. Patrons would stagger home to their families for a meat and 3 veggie meal and listen to the radio. All that changed after World War II, when immigrants arrived mainly from war-ravaged Europe. They preferred to drink wine with their meals and families. Sid Corbin, a Lebanese, began making wine in 1908, mainly Chasselas and Cabernet Sauvignon, in Henderson, West Auckland. The extended family often clashed over almost everything at meetings that left them open to a hostile offer, and by 1979 they had been taken over. Corbins became the second biggest producer of wine in New Zealand. Further south and east in Gisborne, the area became famous for its Chardonnay, although climate change has caused many wineries to reconsider planting other varieties. Further south lies Napier, home to the Marist order. They began growing grapes in 1851, mainly for altar wine. They founded New Zealand's first winery. Their area was prone to flooding, so the vineyard shifted up the hill at Taradale. A seminary was added, and in time-ordered manner, novices could be seen pruning and picking in their cassocks. During a bad harvest year, the wife of a well-known captain of industry drove up the tree-lined drive in her chauffeured-driven Jaguar and demanded 3 cases of any available reds. "Are you an RC?" asked a brother and well-known raconteur. "I do not see how religion has got to do with buying wine," spluttered Lady ... "Regular customer," replied the brother, "regular customer." The Jaguar drove back down the drive with 2 bottles of Merlot secured in the boot. At the top of the South Island lies New Zealand's largest wine-producing area, Marlborough. Its flagship is Sauvignon Blanc, and it is world famous, with labels like Oyster Bay often being mentioned in books and films. There was a period where Premier Vineyards feared that the quality of grapes was in danger of diluting due to the many small holdings being developed without adequate skills. Bacchus, the god of wine, intervened, and several bad harvests forced the smaller blocks, especially those with expensive houses, onto the market. Otago would seem an unlikely province to grow grapes. The rugged areas seem better suited for Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings series. They grow one of the most difficult varieties, Pinot Noir, and their prices reflect their quality. The 2 Paddock Vineyard is owned by one of New Zealand's most famous actors. Our Aussie cousins across the ditch have a similar history, but with a huge difference. Almost every soil type suitable for growing grapes exists from the west coast to the east, growing some of the world's finest wines. It was not always like this. There was a time when in restaurants Australian wine was free. Overseas labels were not. I remember visiting Australia's first wine growing area in the Hunter Valley, New South Wales. The winemaker joked that when the local river had flooded several years ago, seepage had occurred to the underground storage tanks. That year, they won 2 gold medals. Storage is now in stainless steel tanks above the ground. My favourite areas are the Clare and Barossa valleys. They craft some of the world's finest Shiraz. Counterfeiters thought so too, realising that it was easier to forge labels rather than banknotes. 3 cases of the cheapest grade Penfolds were purchased and became the highest Penfold Grange at auction. The thrilled buyers sold them for a year and later opened one to their horror. The perpetrators were long gone, bank accounts closed and addresses abandoned. Today, Penfold Grange have a banknote type security implants for obvious reasons. Europe had had its share of scandals. Made in France secured a higher price for Algerian wine. Technically, Algeria could be classed as part of France at the time. And the horror of mixing antifreeze elements into Austrian wine. My final story occurred in France, and some viewers may find it disturbing. Discretion is advised. The name and location of a 200-year-plus restaurant eludes me, but I suspect it lies on a road where invading and excavating armies had trudged for centuries. Residents keep a flag of France, Austria, Prussia, and Bavaria to wave out the windows to passing soldiers and prevent looting. This little gem of a restaurant decided to expand and carefully dismantled an old brick wall. To their astonishment, they discovered carefully wrapped bottles of wine hidden in cavities. 2 of these had the added initials TJ on their labels. The wine had been made for Thomas Jefferson, US Ambassador to France in the 1860s. The wine had been crafted in Baron Rothschild's Chateau Lafite estate. 1 bottle was donated to the French Academy. The other auctioned for, in today's prices, around $1 million. It was bought by the Thomas Jefferson Institute in America, who proudly exhibited it illuminated by a spotlight. Unfortunately, the heat from the spotlight shrunk the cork, turning the most expensive bottle of wine in the world into the most expensive bottle of vinegar. Thank you for watching. Please tick the subscribe thingy at the bottom and keep in good health.